Good morning. Well, this new service is actually called Metro Rapid, and this right here is one of 22 new buses that they're going to be buying with a $38 million federal transit grant that they're going to be officially signing today. All right, so just to wrap things up, with the Austin Police Chief just told us he did not release his name because they are still waiting to notify family, but they did say once again that he was responding here just around 2 o'clock this morning after a 911 call to Walmart. In some parts it will be sprinkling. Next thing you know, it is a downpour out there. We're actually going to be moving our location because we're surrounded by power lines, but I want to show you what these winds out here did. This is a coffee shop right off 290, and you can see that the garage door was knocked down, and we understand that the commercial park that's just down the street, there's some serious damage behind there. Oh, is that storm close? All right, we're going to move locations, and we'll come back to you in a little bit, guys. Yeah. You can see that is the exact location right in front of the fountain, which is directly in front of the tower where those shots may have been or were fired earlier this morning. That is the location before the gunman was chased into the library. As you heard the police chief mention, they are going to be keeping this area around the PCL sealed off for quite some time while they conduct this investigation. As you can see, crime scene investigators still out here and will be out here for a while.
All right, Kate, thank you so much.
It's gone from bad to worse already, actually, Sally. They've had to actually stop all northbound lanes. But what happened is they were trying to upright the big rig, and as they started to lift it up, well, like all the bottles and content that's inside the big rig started to fall out. We are inside, actually, a Formula One car. It's a Ferrari from 1980. It's all part of the historic Grand Prix section. Wait a second, they're going out to catch the shark? That's what he said? You can't blame the shark. It was an easy catch for him. All right, well, we're dealing with some hot weather that's only going to get hotter as the weekend goes on.
I took a walk like 2 hours ago, and it was brutal outside already, like 10 in the morning. I'm glad you also got the phone call that it was Wear Maroon Friday. I'm just kidding.
You know,
just
tip,
noticed that.
Well, a tip for you, maybe don't wear a suit outside in this weather.
Well, you don't want to see me in a swim trunks outside this time of the day or this time of the year.
CN News at noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Well, some strong storms actually moved through the area further north, but not so much here in Austin.
Not so much here. It got right to the Travis County line and just stopped.
Of course. We have this bubble over us, I'm convinced.
It does seem like that here lately. It's been a while since we've seen any sort of wet weather, but the Hill Country saw great
rain
is excellent
this
morning.
Excellent.
Yeah, right over the Highland Lakes watershed, so good news there.
Perfect. Well, it should be a late night at Austin City Hall as some big items, namely an Austin energy rate increase, are on the slate. Our Josh Tinkle live at City Hall this afternoon with the very latest. Hi, Josh. Big changes are coming for the South Shore Central Austin area in Austin. Thanks to a government grant, top architects and urban planners from around the country are here this week sharing their visions and expertise. We're talking about a 100-acre area bordered by South First to the west, Bolden Creek to the east, and South Congress Avenue as its spine. Now, experts have been examining Austin's South Shore all week. The city and private developers can eventually accept which proposals they like. Well, they want to increase access to the lake, have terraced lawns leading to the water, reconfigure some of the twisty, wayward streets, widen sidewalks, add lots of trees and greenways, and develop a central market street with vendors but no cars. Now, the entire plan may take up to 10 years to actually make it a reality. New at noon, 2 freight trains collide at a rail yard near Houston. Union Pacific officials say more than 20 train cars not connected to a locomotive rolled into a train hauling rocks. The collision pushed 5 empty freight cars off the tracks at the rail yard. So far, we haven't heard of any injuries. The cause of the accident still under investigation. Tomorrow, accused Fort Hood shooter Major Nadal Hassan has a pretrial hearing. Hassan is facing 13 counts of premeditated murder and 32 more counts of attempted premeditated murder in a shooting attack at Fort Hood in November of 2009. The judge will consider a defense motion seeking to have the federal government pay for the services of a neurologist. Hassan's military trial is set to begin in August at Fort Hood. He faces the death penalty or life imprisonment without parole if convicted. A jury is seated in the child rape trial of former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky. 7 women and 5 men will hear and decide the case. About half of them have ties to Penn State. Sandusky's charged with sexually abusing 10 boys he met through a charity he created over a 15-year period. Opening statements begin on Monday. A Central Texas man is in jail on charges of faking his own kidnapping. Deputies in Williamson County say Richard Ney made a 911 call a few days ago saying he had been kidnapped by drug dealers and was being held captive. Well, that call prompted the sheriff's department to launch an extensive manhunt for a day and a half. Turned out to be a hoax. Ney is charged with making a false report. Well, a federal appeals court will review a new Texas rule that prohibits Planned Parenthood groups from participating in a taxpayer-funded health program. Now, the state is asking the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans to lift an injunction that bars the Texas Health and Human Services Commission from enforcing the rule. Now, Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott says the state is entitled to exclude groups affiliated with abortion providers from its federally subsidized women's health program. Planned Parenthood attorneys say the rule is unconstitutional. And let's take a live look at the New York Stock Exchange this afternoon. Stocks are rising. China moved to boost its slowing economy, so that certainly helped things. However, the early rally did fade after federal chair Ben Bernanke gave no immediate signal that there would be another stimulus. So, of course, we'll keep an eye on that and keep you posted throughout the day. In presidential politics, President Obama is in Los Angeles following last night's fundraiser addressing the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgendered Leadership Council. This is the first time the president has held an event with a gay rights group since publicly supporting same-sex marriage. And we don't know how much money was raised last night, but we do know how much the Obama camp raised in May, $60 million. In a tweet this morning, the campaign said the funds came from donors to the president's PAC, Obama for America, as well as the Democratic Committee. Now, according to the campaign website, the average donation was just over $50. In April, the president raised about $50 million. In May, the president's opponent, Mitt Romney, raised about $77 million, and he's continuing the efforts right here in Texas. Romney raised about $15 million in only 2 days during his trip to the Lone Star State. Yesterday in San Antonio, Romney said he would lead the U.S. in a different direction from President Obama. Well, last week, Romney clinched the GOP nomination thanks to the primary votes in Texas. Today, Democrats and Republicans in Texas are gathering for their state conventions. The Republicans are meeting in Fort Worth, and we'll see a host of big names, including Governor Rick Perry, Congressman Ron Paul, and Herman Cain. We will also hear from both of the men running in next month's Senate runoff, Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst and former State Solicitor General Ted Cruz. Now, the Democrats are meeting in Houston this weekend and will elect a new party chair. Well, a Texas woman is standing up by climbing up. Her big stunt to help feed the hungry in our state. Plus, what to do when you can't find the right school for your kids. One mom started her own preschool. The unique twist to that class when we come back. You know, we told you earlier this month about Austin Energy's plan to install 100 additional electrical charging stations around the city. Well, it's all in an effort to encourage residents to buy electric cars. But did you know Austin has a cab company that operates only electric vehicles? The problem is they can't get the city to give them a permit to operate. So we went to figure out what's the holdup, since city officials are all about being green.
We provide free rides to patrons of the downtown entertainment district.
3 years ago, Chris Nielsen decided to start the Electric Cab of Austin.
And we actually got the idea from the city of Austin operating golf carts in the downtown roads, and we decided to take it one step further.
He bought 5 electric golf-style cars and hired friends to drive them around the city. Just like the pedicabs, they asked for tips only. The problem? They don't have a permit to operate. In the last 3 years, the city has given them over 200 tickets. Nielsen says despite requesting a permit on multiple occasions, the city just won't give them one.
We keep getting told it'll take a couple of months. And I don't know what council's definition of a couple is, but it's been about 36 months.
Taxi cab regulation is a very complicated thing, and that's been an issue for a lot longer than 3 years.
Austin City Council member Chris Riley has been a supporter of the city using green transportation, but his first priority for electric cabs is regulation.
You just have to figure out exactly how that's going to work. Where are the stands going to be? What role is everybody going to play? How are you going to license and regulate these people? How many franchises do we allow? A lot of complicated regulatory questions. We've got to make sure we get those things right.
Since April, that issue has been in the hands of the Urban Transportation Commission, who is studying it.
We are also looking at how all of the vehicles for hire work together, so there's a level playing field between all of the different people that want to provide rides.
Nielsen blames the holdup on the taxi lobby, whom he says doesn't want more competition.
Our main opposition is not so much the competition as it is the fact that there's just too many permits on the street.
Ann Darbone, who represents the Taxi Drivers Association of Austin, says all vehicles for hire need to be under the same rules.
They already limit the number of taxis, but at this time, there's no limit on any of the other forms of transportation. So the market just keeps becoming more saturated.
But while Nielsen waits on the city to make its decision, he plans to keep giving rides and will use the new charging stations when they go online. Well, the study by the Urban Transportation Commission is supposed to wrap up sometime next month. Then the commission will make a recommendation to council. Then it's up to council members to decide if and when they want to change the ordinance and ultimately issue a permit for the electric cab company to operate. Chris Riley told me he believes the electric cab of Austin will eventually receive a permit.
Ready, set, hut.
In a parking lot off Guadalupe.
It's basically American-style football played almost entirely on unicycles.
Pro show, you gotta stay on the unicycle.
It's called the UFL.
UFL, Unicycle Football League, that's us.
While it may look a little silly, the object to the game is the same as American football, except it's all played while riding a unicycle.
Sometimes you get tangled up in other people's unicycles and you can hit the ground. Oh, turnover, baby! You can dive off your unicycle and make a catch, but you can't have your foot or anything touching the ground when that. So you have to have ball control before you touch the ground, so you more or less have to eat it.
Marcus Garland started the league.
I had this dream as a little kid to play unicycle football because I've been a unicycle rider since I was a little kid. 4th down and goal.
Let's do it.
He also dreamed of starting the game in a unique way.
So football, you know, they toss the coin. And unicycle football, we do the joust to decide who gets to choose to kick or receive the ball. Whoever falls off first loses. So.
The league even has refs.
Today we brought Frank, referee number 9. Mostly we're just looking for anybody that's willing to stand there and wear the stripes and deal with our stuff. You know?
And almost anyone can play this sport.
I'd say 95% of the people that play did not know how to ride a unicycle when they came to us.
It's a sport that you can play even if you're not someone who traditionally would be considered athletic.
That seems pretty obvious when you see a player smoking. But hey, the UFL is all about having a good time.
Down, say hut.
And making some touchdowns. Kate Weidaw, KXAN, Austin News. As the sun comes up over the city, a small group is heading out on paddleboards on Lady Bird Lake.
Well, the paddleboards have been blowing up everywhere, really.
You good?
So instead of just paddling down the river, a group has decided to change it up a bit.
So with the straight spine here, let's reach straight out, halfway forward, fold. Keep your spine straight.
Yes, you're seeing yoga on a paddleboard. It's called SUP ATX Yoga.
You know, the board looks like a yoga mat, and it adds an extra challenge to the practice. Inhale, lift your chest up. Bring your gaze up.
Being on the water works your core in a different way as you try and keep your balance with challenging moves like the side plank or even a headstand.
It's just all about focusing.
I'm sure, yes. Just about focusing. That's all it takes. And you don't have to be a yogi to do the class or have even paddled on a board before.
It's a nice reminder of, you know, where yoga all comes from, which is that connection.
Being out here, you just have to not be afraid to fall.
Not such a bad thing in 100-degree weather.
And again, press back, downward dog.
But the idea with combining these sports is to offer you a more calming peace of mind.
And you get out on the water and you forget about the cars, about the traffic, the construction, about everyday stuff.
Kate Weidaw, KXAN News.